This is the After Party, live with Kim McAllister. Pick a couch, grab a drink, and settle into the conversation.
What's up? Hello, everybody. Welcome to the After Party Live. Trying to get more subscribers because the numbers have been fluctuating, which apparently is normal during the holidays. But thank you for subscribing if you haven't already, even if you don't stay for the whole show, or if you're just subscribing to help me out. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for clicking the like button as well, and thank you for being here on Waterfall Wednesday, because I have a couple good waterfalls to show you today. And as always, I'm excited to use the picture that I created, a little relaxation for Waterfall Wednesday. I can see everybody, it seems like, someone said I need a nap. That's okay. You can nap during the show. It's all right. It's calming. It's easy. So napping is okay. Half paying attention, we welcome it. It's fantastic. Thank you to Wes for a $5 super chat. The PayPal link is in the show description and in the About tab here on the After Party. The link is live, and that is thanks to Wes as well. You just have to click on it in the About tab on the After Party. So thank you for crowdfunding this show, to everyone who's contributed. Much appreciated. Let's jump into some of these stories so we have time for them all. One of the stories that I found today was about this turtle with a bubble butt. Trust me, I feel this turtle's pain. I know exactly what that's like. No, this turtle has bubble butt syndrome, and humans have decided to step in and help out. So they 3D printed a custom harness to help out Charlotte. Charlotte is a 138-pound green sea turtle. And the reason that her shell is misshapen is because she was hit by a boat about 18 years ago. And she was rescued. And now, because of this harness, this 3D printed harness, she has much better mobility. Charlotte is, again, a green sea turtle. So her species is endangered. And this bubble butt syndrome, they're calling it, is a pretty serious injury for her. It has partially paralyzed the back flippers, causing Charlotte to swim with the backside up instead of flat. So these volunteers came and they created this harness for Charlotte. And what a lovely thing to do. The custom harness helps regain some functionality, some mobility. This is good. Bubble butt syndrome is also called positive buoyancy syndrome, and includes serious injuries to a turtle's spine. Often when a turtle is hit by a boat and this injury is received, the damage can be irreparable. So that Charlotte is alive and is being helped is amazing. But scientists with the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, they estimate that hundreds of thousands of sea turtles are hit by boats every year, which is horrible. Horrible. There has to be something we can do about it, right? I don't know. Most of the rescued sea turtles with this syndrome, this bubble butt syndrome, they can't go back into the wild because they're just unable to swim properly. The spine runs directly underneath the shell, according to an aquarist at the Mystic Aquarium. This woman, Claire Bolster, is Charlotte's current handler. And she tells Popular Science when turtles are hit by boats, most often the injuries go to their spines because it's directly connected. With the spine getting hit, the nerves to the gastrointestinal system are also impacted, and that means they can lose function of the rear flippers because the nerves there are also damaged. Air then has a higher chance of getting trapped in the gastrointestinal system, and it causes the turtle to swim in a direction more perpendicular to the seafloor instead of straight ahead. So Charlotte's injuries partially paralyze the rear flippers. Charlotte struggles to control buoyancy while swimming, and this is why Charlotte often swims with the head down in this motion at the aquarium. So you can kind of see where the air is trapped depending on the day, depending on which way the shell is tilting. They think Charlotte was hit by a boat sometime around 2006 or 7. The turtle arrived at the Mystic Aquarium in 2008 as a juvenile who wasn't yet mature. And they say it's difficult to determine the gender of turtles. So they assumed Charlotte was a girl turtle, but as Charlotte matured, it became very clear Charlotte was actually a boy turtle. So Charlotte's a boy. They say Charlotte is stubborn but very curious. He's engaged with turtle scratches, um, and tends to stay put when they're scratching, they're giving love. So they take it as a sign that Charlotte's enjoying the attention. And now they've got this amazing harness that really helps. They had to weigh down the back end of Charlotte, and do it in a way that has adjustability for the air pocket that's trapped in the GI tract. So a lot of science went into creating this thing. And so far, it seems to be working out for a better quality of life for Charlotte. So humans cause the problem, and then humans come in and try to help it. Love that. They found something really interesting in the state of New York. Looks like giant teeth, right? You would be correct. Giant mastodon teeth. A complete mastodon jaw was found 80 miles northwest of New York City. It turned up in a backyard behind this plant in an Orange County homeowner's yard. The Scotchtown man said he started digging with his fingers when he spotted 2 huge teeth. But when he saw 2 more, he stopped digging and called experts. They came from the New York State Museum and the State University of New York Orange, and they found out it was a complete mastodon jaw. And this was the first one ever unearthed in New York in, well, should say not ever, but in more than a decade. So this is pretty cool. They also found, while they were digging in this area, a rib fragment and a toe bone. So now the researchers are going to start carbon dating this, the find, and see what's going on. Of course, the mastodon, an ancient relative of today's elephants, and right there in somebody's backyard in New York. So interesting. Well, you've heard of giving a lot at the office. We already know this, as Mark mentioned on his show. The astronauts that were left behind by the leaky Boeing spacecraft have been up there way, way longer than they thought. And now their trip is delayed even more. They're not coming home till the spring. They were supposed to come home in February. Now they think it'll be even longer to get these people home. So we know astronauts already give a lot. But when you look at the possibility of humans on Mars and perhaps building homes on Mars, they're asking astronauts to maybe give a whole lot of themselves. The researchers are proposing building homes on Mars with human blood. Okay, this is a weird idea, but Astrocrete, which is this material they've created, uses a protein found in plasma to bind it together. So if we ever make it to Mars and we're looking to build the first permanent buildings there, the possibility exists that the construction material may require blood or other bodily fluids from astronauts themselves. Talk about blood, sweat, and tears on the job. They say space is at a premium aboard the rocket ship, right? So because of that, the earliest crews will have to rely on the resources they have at hand. Lots of rocks, lots of dirt, and other readily available additives as well. So ancient Roman concrete, we know it's resilient because there's still things around, right? We know it's strong. Masons apparently often used key ingredients in brick making. They used blood and they used urine. Did you know that? I did not know it. So, knowing this, a research team from Iran's Kharazmi University, they set about experimenting. Like, how would this work? So they mixed it and texted multiple potential building materials. They used various combinations of sediment that would be found on Mars, some other easily obtainable ingredients as well. And they wrote this study published in the journal Acta Astronautica. They said ancient Romans utilized organic additives, including animal blood, primarily to improve the durability and workability of their mortar. Although it's a bit strange, they write, blood can be used to create strong concrete or bricks for on site construction on Mars. Depending on the region of the planet, the soil on Mars may contain the right chemical composition for multiple types of concrete. So, after they looked at geological data collected by past Mars landers and orbiters, the team identified 11 potential concrete options for future astronauts. And they included geopolymer and magnesium silica measures. They then created and simulated building material samples using a 3D printer, stress tested them, and recorded the results. So the team says this: a sulfur based concrete would likely be the most reliable initial material for buildings on Mars. But they also suggest Astrocrete could work, a modern form of Roman concrete that contains additional human sourced ingredients. The, the Martian regolith would bind together through contact with human serum albumin, which is a protein found in blood plasma. They think a single astronaut could produce enough HAS. It's called, HAS is human serum albumin. So this is the protein they talk about found in blood plasma. So a single astronaut could produce enough of it to make the amount of astrocrete necessary to construct a single occupancy dwelling in about 72 weeks. They say to increase the astrocrete's compressive strength and plasticity while lowering its brittleness. They say urea, extracted from sweat, tears, and urine, may be an additional benefit. And the good thing about astrocrete is you don't have to have water to mix it up, which is very useful given that water is going to be almost nil, right, in this area. Unless we find some big underground river to tap. Who knows? So, is that it? Blood, sweat, and tears? Is that all it's going to take? And a little urine as well? They think that there might be more to the story. They have to think about the planet's exposure to ultraviolet radiation, the planet's deadly climate, low gravity, lack of water, and all of those things could prevent human beings from setting up shop there and living there. The success, they say, hinges on the development of low-cost, practical solutions, including on-site construction, utilizing resources that we have, and that's the most promising approach. So yeah, that includes the blood, sweat, tears, and maybe urine of our first Martian visitors. That's asking an awful lot. But I think the astronauts would be up for the job. Let's move to this. Wait, before we move to the story, I have to go to the chat and see what you guys have to say about this. Astrocrete, Calvin says. Josh says they should worry probably more about the radiation. Yeah. Rev says, so we're back to blood sacrifice? Yeah. Oh, that's some tough walls of pee. Calvin says, can't you use human excrement for homes there? I wonder, well, you have to breathe oxygen from a different source, so you wouldn't be able to smell the walls. I don't know. Hempcrete, says Tammy. Karen says, why would anyone want to go to a totally hostile place like Mars? Well, we've ruined this planet, Karen, so we have to figure out what planet to ruin next. That's how that works, I guess. I don't know. I'm telling you. Gordon says some deep craters have water ice. We'll see. Calvin says recipe for Mars home: 4 astronauts and 1,000 pounds of Taco Bell food equals the Mars base. It's just so weird. Weird solutions, but you know what? I whatever works, right? Um, can we talk about these trackers, these Bluetooth trackers? A picture of this. So this is a story about, and Calvin, thank you for sending this story. Calvin Wong sent this story. Android will let you find unknown Bluetooth trackers now instead of just warning you about them. This is what it would look like, an unknown tracker alert. And we hear stories about these trackers being placed on people as a way to monitor their location. So someone puts a Bluetooth tracker in a pocket of your purse, and then they monitor everywhere you go. Maybe it's an abusive relationship, maybe someone's spying on you. I don't know. But now there's a way to know for sure. Some people have these attached to their keys so they can find out when a key is lost. But as mentioned, these can be misused as well. So Apple and Google have both implemented these tracker alerts. So you'll know if there's an unknown Bluetooth tracker near you. And now, as part of a new update, Google is letting Android users actually locate the trackers as well. It's one of the new tools that Google is adding to the Find My device compatible trackers. The first is temporarily pause location. So it's what you're supposed to enable when you first receive an unknown tracker notification. And it's supposed to block your phone from updating its location with those trackers for 24 hours. And then there's a second update, and it's called Find Nearby. And it helps you pinpoint exactly where that tracker is if you can't see it, if you can't hear it. So did someone put it on your bumper of your car? Did someone slip it into your purse? Is it sewn into your jacket? Where is it? By clicking on the unknown tracker notification, they show you this map of where the tracker was last spotted moving with you. And then you can play a sound to see if you can locate it. And Google says the owner won't be notified if you play a sound. If you can't find it, then Find Nearby will connect your phone to the tracker over Bluetooth and display a shape that fills in the closer you get to the tracker. So they're trying to help you find it, which is great because either someone's tracking you and you need to find it and get rid of it, or it's your tracker, you lost it and need to find it. The tool is the same one that Google offers for locating trackers and devices that you actually own. But you don't need to use the Find My device or have your own tracker to benefit from this. The expanding Find Nearby, they say, is a necessary step to fight Bluetooth tracker misuse. Apple already does this with their precision finding tool for AirTags. They released a shared standard for spotting unknown Bluetooth trackers as well. Whether you use Android or iOS, you can use this. So this is a good thing because, again, some of these trackers are not only used for looking at, monitoring someone's movement in a domestic violence situation, but also from robbery, right? You could be being stalked. You could be someone is, casing your joint, seeing what your movements are. When do you leave your house? When do you come back? All of these things. Do you use a tracker for anything? I'll tell you one of the ways we use a tracker. My daughter plays this really, really expensive instrument, and it's not one that we could ever afford to replace. It would be more than $7,000 to replace this bassoon that she plays. So it's got this little thing on the bottom that unscrews. kind of like the base where you would stand it on a floor. You can unscrew it, and we put an Apple tag in there, a tracker. So, because she went to New York last year on a band trip, and we were concerned that it would get stolen in New York. And it's just kind of stayed in there ever since, although I think you might need to take it out and recharge it. So, if it gets stolen, we'll know where it goes. Also, we know where she is when she's got that thing with her. So, we do use it that way. The technology is used in this family. But I think this is really needed to find out if someone's tracking you and you don't want them to be. Sea Dog says I need a tracker for my car keys and my phone. Yeah, doesn't everybody, right? Wes says if you find one on your car, sneak and place it on a cop car. There you go. Put a tracker on Charlotte. Oh, the turtle? The bubble butt turtle? Yeah. Bluetooth only reaches about 15 feet, says Blue Spark. To connect your phone, you have to manually pair them. How would this work? I don't know, but if you want to text me, I'll send you the article, or maybe I can put the link to the article here. And again, thanks to Calvin Wong, shadow producer of all of these, Mark Thompson show, the Nikki Maduro show, and the After Party Live. I give a lot of credit to Calvin Wong and teacher Lori for the help with this. Let me see if I can post it right now. Here is the link. So maybe there's some information there that will answer your questions. Liz says, my son has a tracker in his check luggage. Have one on my dog when I'm not home. My husband is not good about closing the doors, and she likes to escape. Super smart, right? Then if your dog gets out, if you lose your dog, very easy to fix. You're not worrying half the night that you'll never see your beloved family member again. Yeah. Josh says classical instrument theft is extremely rare. You might be right, but I'm telling you, Josh, if someone stole it, that'd be it. That would be the end of her bassoon playing days. I would try to come up with some solution, but this seems like a good one. And also, when she was in New York, I kept thinking about, in every movie, what happens when you get off the bus from the airport in New York? Someone steals your stuff. I don't know. Yeah, so I think this is a great idea. Mo says Bluetooth Type 2 is rated at 30 miles or greater. All right. Yeah, I don't know. Teacher Lori says, seems bad for parents tracking their kids. I'm sure kids have already found ways to disable it. Well, most kids nowadays, these days, the kids all have the phones and the Apple Watches, right? So I can't track Jacob per se. He has one of those gizmo watches from Verizon where you can only call like 10 numbers and only 10 numbers can call you. So you can set just family members to call your kid, and it doesn't really have internet access. It's just a way for me to call him to find out where he is or when he needs to be picked up. But and I can track him through that. And I can always see where Julia is because she always has her phone with her. So you wouldn't really need these types of extraneous trackers, you could say, because most kids have phones anyway. You can see where they are. And there are these apps like the 360 app where you can see where your whole family is, right? Yeah. 30 meter. Yeah. Interesting. Sorry, that's my bad. I took the M as something else. No. Teacher Lori says it helps me find my car faster in a parking lot when spaced out after the MRI. Yeah, sometimes you need a little help, you know? But I thought that was good. Any technology that helps us beat it. Although I wonder if this could be turned around in a negative way. I don't know. Okay, let's move forward because I have a story for you about this lady. Look how cute she is. She is 106 years old. And you want to know what she says contributes to her longevity? Fireball. I'm not even kidding. Fireball. That's what she says. She says she stays young with positivity and Fireball whiskey. She celebrated her 106th birthday at her Ohio retirement home. Her name is Florence. They nicknamed her Fireball Flo because she loves this liquor. The manufacturer sent her complimentary bottles and merchandise for her 105th birthday. She turned 106 yesterday at the Traditions of Deerfield Senior Living Facility in Loveland, Ohio. And here's what she says, Flo, Fireball Flo. I just try to be nice to people and I try to go one day at a time. That's all, she said. If you get that one day in, and then you can go on to the next one. And so that's what you've got to do. One day at a time. Think what I've got to do today, and then you got to keep moving as long as you can. That is probably the best advice I've ever heard. You know, people get to be over 100 and always the question is asked, what helped you live so long? What do you think the key to your longevity is? And I love that she says kindness and living it one day at a time. You know, don't bite off more than you can chew. Don't stress. Don't worry. One day at a time, it's all you can do. The retirement home says Hackman, Florence Hackman is her name, still attends daily happy hours with her friends. And she's a huge Cincinnati Bengals fan, so she still follows the sports team. And she's super with it, too. I was watching a video of her at Halloween last year, and she's really cute. They're her gifts from the Fireball Company. Florence, 106 years old. Can you imagine? I'll be lucky if I make it to 80. Are you ready for the lotto of the day? This one I'll call Let It Ride. This guy, who's from Kentucky, won $40 from a lottery and he to buy another ticket, and that ticket was a $3 million winner. He's from Radcliffe, Kentucky. This guy told lottery officials he was feeling lucky after he won $40 from his ticket. So he used $30 of it to buy a Break Fort Knox scratch-off ticket from the Elizabethtown Kroger. He said, I started scratching off the amount and I saw the skinny dollar sign and the 3 and I about passed out. I had to do a double take, a triple take. I pulled up the app. I scanned it, he said. The app said, congratulations, you won $3 million. That's when he said it got real. I always told friends and family, it's not if, it's when. He says he's going to use his prize money to go toward paying off debt, toward traveling, toward investing. So there you go. Let it ride. Speaking of the lottery, though, and I mentioned this on Mark's show, the Mega Millions jackpot, I think it's at $825 million right now. And on Tuesday, there were 2 Mega Millions players in California who came up just one number short. I hate that. I mean, I'm glad they won. They each won $226,328. Not bad for a lottery ticket, right? But one number more and you could have had 760 million. The tickets were sold at the Hero Market in San Bernardino County in Yucca Valley and at a Safeway in Morgan Hill in Santa Clara County. Both tickets matched all 5 numbers but didn't hit the mega ball. So again, a little more than $226,000. Not so bad. There you go. And what is it? I have to look it up. I think it said, unless it's gone up since I last looked, the Mega Millions jackpot is $825 million. The estimated cash value for that is $382 million. So that's how much you would get from the lottery. And then you have to pay taxes on that. So I don't know. What do you get at the end? 200 million? So 825 million is not likely. The next drawing is on Friday. I don't know. We'll see. If anybody wins, it has to pop eventually. It's a Christmas lottery miracle. We'll see how they do. Let's go from big cash wins to the age of cannibalism. I wanted to get the story in yesterday, so I'll talk about it today. Maybe not so uplifting, but super interesting and weird and creepy. This is a story about the evidence unearthed in England that shows a darker picture of the Bronze Age than many people expected. The bleak part of human nature, they say, uncovered in the bones from an archaeological site in Charterhouse Warren, Somerset, England. There's a team that recently analyzed more than 3,000 bones that were found there decades ago, and the bones date back to the early Bronze Age. They found the remains of at least 37 people that were killed, butchered, and likely partially eaten before they were thrown down a shaft about 50 feet deep. They looked at these bones and they detailed this all in a study published December 15th in the journal Antiquity. The researchers say this represents the largest scale example of interpersonal violence from British prehistory. They found more evidence for injuries to skeletons dating to the Neolithic period in Britain than the early Bronze Age. So they say Charterhouse Warren stands out as something very unusual. The study, by the way, done out of the University of Oxford by the archaeology department there. The scattered bones of these 37 people were discovered in this shaft in the 1970s. They belong to a mixture of men, women, and children, which likely means, according to archaeologists, that they were representative of a certain community. The skulls have evidence of a violent death from blunt force trauma. Unlike, they say, the majority of contemporary burials, researchers from multiple institutions analyzed these bones trying to learn more about how these people died, and they found cut marks and fractures that happened at or near the time of death in the bones. And that, they think, is why this is evidence that they were intentionally butchered and may have been partially consumed. Why would people back then cannibalize their dead? Well, they looked at other nearby areas and they uncovered evidence that suggests that cannibalism was likely a funeral rite in this area. The evidence of this violent death, no indication of a fight or a struggle, they say implies these victims were caught off guard. So maybe it was enemies and then part of a funeral ritual. They ate them. Abundant cattle bones were found mixed in with human bones. It suggests that people at Charterhouse Warren probably had enough to eat, so it's unlikely that people were killed strictly for food. It may have been a way to dehumanize the deceased. Gross. It goes on, but yikes. Okay, should we lift the party back up? And we talk about these library books that are often returned years afterward. And this one was a library book that was 50 years overdue. This guy tried to return this book called Baseball's Zaniest Stars. Had a Dewey Decibel number on the spine. This man's name is Chuck. So he tries, this former Detroit area resident, to return this library book, and the library said, no thanks. We reject the book. We don't want it. You go ahead and keep it. He checked this book out from the Warren Public Library December 4th of 1974. And then he went to Detroit over Thanksgiving and tried to return the book, but they told him, this book is not even in our system anymore. We don't even have any record that you ever even checked this book out. So you go ahead and keep it. You won't be charged the 25 cents a day overdue fee. It would have been about $4,500. He's now trying, Chuck, to raise the amount of that waived fee to donate to the nonprofit literacy group Reading is Fundamental. He put in the first $457, which is 10% of the amount that he would have owed, and he's trying to crowdfund the rest. So that's a good outcome to that story. I wanted to share this one with you as well. This was found in old Heathcliff lunchbox and thermos. My first thought was I bought my daughter. Was it my daughter or my son? I think it was my son. I bought my son, one of them, whatever, doesn't matter, a lunchbox. And it had a matching water bottle. And I bought it at Pottery Barn Kids. So it wasn't cheap. This is years ago. And one day the lunchbox disappeared. And they're like $30, $40, these Pottery Barn lunchboxes, even if you get them on sale. And I looked everywhere. And finally, months later, I found it behind a chair that was against a wall. And I made the mistake immediately of unzipping the lunchbox. And I swear to you, I should have just thrown the whole thing out. Moldy, smelly, disgusting, awful. So my first thought when I saw this story was, don't open the lunchbox. It's not worth it. This lost lunchbox was found at a school in Virginia after 42 years. A plumber working at this Virginia elementary school found this Heathcliff lunchbox. The Roanoke City Public Schools posted on Facebook that a plumber was doing maintenance at Fairview Elementary and came across this metal lunchbox with this orange cartoon cat on it. They did open it up, and they say, I have a picture of what they found inside. Here's what it looked like inside. They found a thermos that still smelled like hot chocolate. I can't believe someone smelled it. An adorable drawing and a tag with the student's name, Tracy Drain, who appears to have been in Mrs. Curry's class in room 30 40 years ago. The lunchbox appears to have been made in the early 1980s. So the post eventually made its way to Tracy Drain, who lost her lunch during fourth grade in 1982. She told the local TV news affiliate, WDBJ, I think it's amazing. If I would have been the person that found it, I would have put it on eBay, and it's finders, keepers, losers, weepers. But it's very interesting, she said, to be able to see it. As far as remembering it, I do not. But it has my mom's handwriting, which I will treasure right there. It also has a really cute cartoon that she drew of Heathcliff the cat. She must have been a huge Heathcliff fan. Anyway, that's the story of the missing lunchbox. 42 years later, found behind a drain? Yeah. So there you go. All right, it is Waterfall Wednesday. Time to relax a little bit. And I have the first waterfall in Florida. This looks a little dangerous. I don't know about this one. It is called Falling Waters Sinkhole. It's in Chipley. It's a 2-mile trail in Falling Waters State Park, and this is Florida's largest waterfall. It falls an impressive 73 feet. They have a boardwalk where you can follow the boardwalk, and then you'll come to this observation point where you can look down on the sinkhole, which is about 100 feet deep and 20 feet wide. They say the park is a great place for exploring other small sinkholes surrounded by lush vegetation, ferns, and huge trees. Sounds like an accident waiting to happen. But there's a fishing, swimming holes. They're all popular activities for campers. There's 20 campsites and places to stay there. They say, of course, if it's been raining, the waterfall's even more impressive. But that's cool. Falling Waters Sinkhole Trail in Florida. This next one, also in the great state of Florida, this is Murakami Japanese Gardens in Delray Beach. It's man-made, but impressive anyway. The waterfall is called Roji-en. It translates to Gardens of the Drops of Dew. Gardens of the Drops of Dew. They say you wouldn't be able to tell that it's man-made if you didn't know it. And that it's easy to see yourself as if you were walking around Japan. It's tranquil. There's bamboo groves, so you walk through the bamboo groves and the pine forests before you get to the cascading waters and a lovely lake. So they say if you ever feel the need to relax and you're close by, you can just head there, sit, and enjoy the environment at Murakami Japanese Gardens. And the last waterfall of the day is also in Florida. This one is so pretty. This is Rainbow Springs in Dunellen, Marion County, Florida. Also man-made, it was built in the 1930s, and people have been coming to see it ever since. The Florida state manages the facility. They bought it in the 1990s. The waterfalls include 3 man-made waterfalls in Rainbow Springs. There are excellent views of the waterfalls from the numerous trails that run through this area. The vegetation is lush, oak and magnolia trees. The waters are crystal clear. They have swimming, tubing, and snorkeling nearby. Great place for campers and families. Again, it's Rainbow Springs in Dunellen in Marion County, Florida, and it sure looks pretty. So we have Rainbow Springs, we have Murakami Gardens, there it is, and the Falling Water Sinkhole. Those are our 3 waterfalls of the day in beautiful Florida. It's pretty just to look at the falling water. So relaxing. I'm telling you guys. I wanted to show you this story. We hear news stories about, any and all alcohol is so bad for you, right? Alcohol will kill you. Even one sip is just awful for you. And then we have a study like this, that drinking wine, little amounts, small amounts. I'm not talking, guzzling the whole glass. But people who drink a little bit of wine every day can protect their heart health. So this goes against other information. Of course it does, because they all want to confuse us. People who drank half to 1 glass of wine a day had a 50% lower risk of heart attack, stroke, or heart disease compared to wine teetotalers. The study is published on Wednesday in the European Heart Journal. So they say light drinking, 1 glass a week even, or less than half a glass a day, reduced your heart risk by 38%. But the benefits evaporated in people who had more than 1 glass of wine per day. Professor Dr. Raymond Estrich, a professor with the University of Barcelona, said, "We have found a much greater protective effort of wine than observed in other studies. A reduction in risk of 50% is much higher than can be achieved with some drugs, such as statins," he said. The more potent protections were uncovered because this study used a more precise method, they say, of measuring people's wine intake. The studies that have been done in the past relied on people reporting how much wine they drank, which may or may not have been accurate. Memories might have been mistaken. People might lie because they're embarrassed about how much they drank. In this study, which is part of a larger Spanish research project about the benefits of the Mediterranean diet, wine intake was measured by the amount of tartaric acid in the participants' urine. It's a chemical naturally found in grapes and grape products like wine, and it is excreted in urine and can be measured to show if someone has consumed wine or grapes within the last 5 to 6 days. So they analyzed data from more than 1,200 people, and they did as much as 5 years of follow-up. There were 685 cases of heart attack, stroke, or heart disease out of these 1,200 people. In people with high risk of heart disease following a Mediterranean diet, light to moderate wine drinking reduced heart risk by 50%, according to this particular study. And the doctor said, until now, we believe 20% of the effects of the Mediterranean diet could be attributed to moderate wine consumption. But in light of these results, they say the effect might even be greater. And because the participants of this study were older people at higher risk of heart disease living in Spain, they don't know if the results are applicable to other people. So they want to study that now, and they want to know at what age moderate wine consumption can be considered acceptable. There were other studies that were done showing the protective effects of wine consumption start around the age of 35 to 40. And they say it's also important to note that moderate consumption for women should always be half that of men, and it should always be consumed with a meal. But the thought is, if this study bears merit, that it could have a far-reaching implication for public health recommendations regarding wine consumption. That is in an editorial that accompanies this study. So, a little sippy here, sippy there, might be okay. Maybe not, maybe so. Depends on what study you read and who really knows, right? Come on. Going to the chat. Let's see what you guys have to say. Oh, yeah. Too bad, says Northern Tier FPV. Too bad beer doesn't have the same effect. Judy said, I was offered wine at Thanksgiving and I declined. I didn't want to mix it with my pain meds and then drive home. That's smart. Why are you yelling red wine? I think, and that picture showed white wine. Sorry, my hair's all weird on my headphones. The picture showed white wine, but I think red wine is supposed to have a better effect, right? Because it has tannins in it. This is, again, from other studies, which may or may not be applicable. Karen says, I had to give up ice cream. I am not giving up wine. Okayest Mama says, the only times I've ever had wine is in culinary school and in church when I got married. I like a little wine, I'm not going to lie. Nikki has me drinking on Thursday night, so wine is back in my repertoire. I don't know about the decline effect. I'll have to look that up next. I don't know. Trevor agrees with Karen. I don't things I like to do and eat what tastes good. Whatever happens, happens. Rev says, added to an all-around good diet. Absolutely. Oh, no. Mo says in Northern California, that's my neck of the woods, they're letting grapes rot on the vine and plowing over vineyards due to an extreme wine glut. Well, I hope that's not true. Teacher Lori says, or maybe people have a glass once in a while and maybe know how to relax better. Yeah, I don't know. Blue Spark says, I don't pay any attention to these studies. It's good, it's bad, it's good, it's bad, back and forth. I've heard it for years. That's how I feel. One day, it's good for you. The next day, it's bad for you. It's interesting to read about, but yeah, I don't know how much stock I put in it. Well, that is the After Party Live for today. Thank you for spending your time, your extra hour here with me on YouTube. Tomorrow, big day. It is Thursday. We'll have David Katz on the Mark Thompson Show at 11 a.m. Pacific, followed by the After Party Live at 1-ish p.m. Pacific, where we'll do Trivia Thursday. And then 5 p.m., it's the Nikki Maduro Show, cocktails, mocktails, and politics, and it'll be really fun. Again, that's 5 p.m. tomorrow. All right. Have a great day. Make it a really good one and stay warm. Get your holiday shopping done. I hope you're in the holiday spirit. I'll see you tomorrow here on the After Party. Bye, everybody.
The After Party Live would like to thank the following contributors and viewers like you.